Hi everyone, this is Shauna Taroso, RAYAC's Executive Officer, and this is my desk. In this monthly video blog, I address questions that come across my desk every single day. So we always hope in York and Adams counties that we have smooth sailing real estate transactions with no issues coming up. But we all know that sometimes things happen and you might find yourself in a circumstance with thinking, maybe I need to file an ethics complaint. Well, first, I want to explain a little bit about how that process works. So in order to be a realtor member, you are putting yourself out there that you are going to hold yourself to a higher standard of conduct, more so than the average real estate licensee or appraiser certificate holder, by becoming a member of the National Association of Realtors and agreeing to abide by the Realtors Code of Ethics, which lays out higher standards of professionalism for real estate practitioners across the country. So if there is ever a circumstance where you feel that one of the Code of Ethics may have been violated by a realtor member, we get the question of how does that process work and how do I file an ethics complaint? Well, our first advice always before you jump right into filing an ethics complaint is first have some conversations and dialogue with the agent's office manager and broker. Sometimes having those conversations with the office manager and broker can help to resolve any issue that may have arisen as a result of the transaction. But if it doesn't, or if the activity that took place was a true violation of the Code of Ethics, you will find yourself in a circumstance where you may want to file. So here are some things you need to know when you do file. So your first step will be to contact the RAYAC office and request the ethics complaint form and how you go about that process. You will need to cite one of the articles of the Code of Ethics, so you need to have at least one. You can have more than one if you choose, and then provide a narrative as to why you believe the Code of Ethics was violated. So in addition to that narrative, you want to lay out why you think that that particular article of the Code of Ethics was violated, and you want to provide the narrative and the supporting documentation. So you may include things like an agreement of sale, any email communications or text message printouts that you have from the transaction that provide further proof why you feel there was a potential violation of one of the articles of the Code of Ethics. Once we receive that documentation and the ethics complaint form, we send that off to our grievance committee to review first. And our grievance committee looks at the ethics complaint and decides if this is true, does it potentially violate one of the articles of the Code of Ethics? And the grievance committee will look at the documentation, say, does it potentially violate one of the articles of the Code of Ethics? And they might decide that it does in some cases, or maybe it doesn't, and delete an article. They may add articles that the complainant may have missed. And if the answer is yes, it potentially violates one of the articles of the Code of Ethics, they then move that forward to the Professional Standards Committee to hold a hearing. Now, the grievance committee never sees the respondent side. They're just seeing the complainant side, so they're only seeing one side to that. And we always know that there are two sides to every story. But once it's forwarded on from the grievance committee to the Professional Standards Committee, they schedule a hearing. And it is important that the complainant will need to be present at that hearing to make their case and present the evidence as to why they feel the respondent violated the Code of Ethics. So it is almost like a court proceeding in which there's the complainant, the respondent, and 3 members of the Professional Standards Committee who serve as hearing panelists. Both the complainant and the respondent have the ability to be represented by legal counsel and or realtor counsel, or both, and they also have the right to call witnesses to the hearing. After the hearing has concluded, the hearing panel will determine whether or not the Code of Ethics was violated. And if they determine that the Code of Ethics was violated, then they have the right to levy sanctions on the realtor member. And those sanctions can be anything from a letter of warning to up to a $15,000 fine. Some other things to keep in mind with the ethics complaint process is that the complainant will never receive monetary damages as a result of the ethics complaint. So the complainant does not get any monetary damages out of Code of Ethics. That's not what that process is for. If you're looking for monetary damages, you would want to pursue the mediation program and or pursue the case through the Commonwealth court system, but not through the ethics complaint process. Also, a number one complaint that we get is who can file an ethics complaint. And really, anyone can file a Code of Ethics complaint. A consumer can file the Code of Ethics complaint, an agent, an appraiser, or a broker or office manager. Anyone is able who was involved in the transaction is able to file that Code of Ethics complaint. But there is one big thing to keep in mind too, is that there is a time frame associated with filing an ethics complaint. You have 180 days from which the time of either the transaction concluded or from the time from when the Code of Ethics was violated to file that ethics complaint. So time is of the essence. So be sure to make sure if you believe that there has been a violation of the Code of Ethics that you file it in a timely manner, or you might be outside of the time frame to file the complaint. So I hope you found that information to be helpful. As always, if you ever have any questions about how the process works, you can feel free to contact the RAYAC office, and we'll be happy to assist you through that process. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.